You're listening to The Big Conversation.
Brought to you by the Cheshire and Merseyside Resilience Hub.
Joined by special guest, Juliana Pinheiro Landon.
On today's episode, we're joined by Juliana, the creative director of Katumba. Hey Juliana, nice to have you here. How are you?
Hello, hi Lee. I'm great. I feel great. It's been a great week, especially this week with being part of the Nelson Mandela birthday celebrations here in Liverpool. So we've been taking part of that with Katumba. So it's been extra special week. So I'm feeling fabulous.
Ah, lovely. I heard about that. One of our colleagues told me about it the other day, and she was a part of it at the same time. So you probably crossed paths with her.
Good. Yeah, such an honor.
Oh, lovely. Right then. So introduce yourself and give our listeners a bit of an insight to who Juliana is and what it is that you do.
Wow. So I am Juliana Landin. I'm the co-founder and managing director for Katumba Drumming Movement, a not-for-profit that utilizes music and movement practices to support the community health and well-being. So we're mostly known by our Afro-Brazilian influenced carnival band, Katumba Drumming Movement. So it's louder, it's brighter, but we do lots of other stuff as well. And the Brazilian there is not a coincidence. I'm originally from Brazil. So born and raised in Brazil, a big city called Recife, and studied a bit of law there, also music. And I bring those influences to what I do here as well in Liverpool. But it's been kind of like a big journey from Brazil. Most people, how did you get to Liverpool and what you're doing in Liverpool being from Brazil? But it was by way of the States. I moved out of Brazil. Originally moved to the States. That was during 9/11 and all those days. So I was doing a lot of social justice work there. Was while I was in the States that the dream of Katumba started to take shape. And 10 years on, I'm here in Liverpool in the Katumba Culture Hub, and that dream has come true.
Ah, lovely. Do you know, it's funny you say about Brazil, because I once worked there for a short period of time. It was for an orphanage in, I think it's called Lençóis. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Down the south of the country. We travelled from Sao Paulo all the way right to the bottom, and it was a beautiful country, such an eye-opening experience. And I also fell in love with capoeira too. So that's like the movement at the same time, isn't it? So I totally get it why you love doing what you do. It's really interesting and getting people involved in it at the same time. So tell me now then about where you are now and about Katumba behind it, how it's grown and developed.
That's a very good pronunciation of Lençóis, by the way. Well done. Yes, very good. Wow, it's amazing. So it kind of started like yourself. I used to volunteer in an orphanage in Brazil as well, and in the favelas, which are shanty towns in Brazil. While I used to study law and then also music at the same time, and I used to volunteer in shanty towns teaching music, particularly with young people, and I could see how, despite of all the poverty, everything they're going through, what a positive impact that had on their lives and what they're going through, how it helped. So that was a big part of it for me. As the years passed, how I really wanted to use music to have a positive impact in the community. So it was actually, funnily enough, I was living in the States, went to Brazil to play drums for Carnival in Brazil. And that's when I met Richie Tunstall, which is now my husband and also my business partner in Katumba. And one of the things that connected was a shared dream of using our music to support the community. We just didn't know how it was going to happen, how it was going to take shape. But it was one of the things that brought us together. And eventually one of the things that brought me here to Liverpool, which is where he lived. So even though I moved here, we were doing music, but not in the intention that we wanted. We were kind of doing it for an international franchise and didn't feel quite right. And that's when a serious motorbike accident happened to me. And I was, immobilized for a long time. I didn't know what was going to happen, if I was going to be able to walk again. At first. The NHS was amazing in that period and helping me through that recovery. But there was a lot of unknowns. I broke my pelvis in a few different places. So doing something that requires a lot of movement obviously had a lot of impact on me. And I was, bedbound for quite a few months. And it was through that period that I started kind of thinking what I was going to do with my life, first of all, but also experiencing all the mental obstacles that I was facing. I was like, I had PTSD. I was facing a lot of issues, as you can imagine, and also physical, of course. And through that period, with the drumming, the Brazilian, Afro-Brazilian drumming style, I started to explore how that would help me physically and also how it was helping me mentally. And parallel to that, I started to train as a yoga teacher as well as part of my recovery. So it was through all that, going through that rehabilitation process, that I started to bring all those things together. And we decided to, okay, let's create Katumba and do it in a way that it has that intention of really supporting our community's physical and mental well-being. So might be through people see as like a lot of fun or, it's boisterous, it's loud, but it has behind everything and underneath everything a very
Yeah.
deep intention of well-being with what we do to
Wow.
support and really enrich the
That
community.
that story though, it from just you talking about it from becoming a plan, from a dream to becoming a plan to actually meeting Richie and getting that it off the ground, and then the aspects of the incident. It's kind of, I'm not saying the incident was a good thing, but it put you on the right mindset to think, I want to do this and we want to do it in a specific way. So that story there, it's actually quite touching in terms of why that journey you've come through and the impact of your own rehabilitation at the same time, because it's made you a better person as you've moved along and got better as well. So it's put your mind on a right path and think, I want to help people and we want to do it via movement, via drumming, via music. So that's amazing. Um, so yeah, I mean, congratulations on getting this far, though. That's hat off to you. For those of you
Thank
who don't
you.
know, the hub, the Resilience Hub, runs a range of free face-to-face events to help with people's well-being. And Juliana and her partner Richie, who she's previously mentioned, are one of our partners in delivering events based in Liverpool. And so far, it's been a great success. I think we've had 5 sessions so far.
Mhm.
Um, and again, it's all about the movement, the drumming, and there's lots to this. So I wanted to touch on, say, the well-being, the mental health, and the self-care aspects, and why it's really important. I'm someone who works with people in the community. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's so funny, like, because you said yourself, Lee, that, the aspect of having gone through my accident, which was a horrible experience at the time, but now I see what a positive impact it has had in my life and how it's influenced and informed everything that I've done since then. So, in a way, it was a profound positive thing that happened to me in a twisted way. And most of us, and you hear a lot of people who've gone through, survival experiences or how
Yeah,
that has, and it took that to kind of stop us in our tracks, to force us to look at ourselves and our well-being. And I was like everyone else, most people, just in the path of working super hard, just giving ourselves or using elements that are not so positive to distract ourselves, like alcohol, whatever it is, drinking, party, which is great.
yeah,
But we do forsake our true well-being a lot for just being in that rat race and just being, in the demands of the job. With sometimes, especially with NHS, with it's such a beautiful thing. You're giving yourself so much to
yeah,
keep the community well, and we forget of ourselves, that we can't help anyone if we don't help ourselves first and foremost. And that's what
absolutely.
made me really stop and look at it, not only physically but mentally. And obviously, we know, like, I think through the pandemic, those 2 past years, with the impact that it has had on us all, but particularly on the NHS staff, it's kind of forced us to stop and look at it. It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
We can't do what we do if we're not looking after ourselves. And it's not only physical, it's the mental as well.
I think one of the big factors there where you've just said it's about the growth aspect as well. So we all have our moments of blowout where we go out for a beer or go dancing or whatever, but that it's a short term fix where it's a longitudinal thing about self care and about development. It's a path, isn't it? It's a path of development. And like you said, from your traumatic experience of the accident, a negative then turned into a positive. and you got yourself on the mindset to understand and develop yourself. Um, and I hear you on that aspect. I think, like you said, over the pandemic, the past 2 years, um, people's well-being's been pushed and pulled in every literal direction. From, say, staff members being redeployed to different services or different wards that they've never worked on before. So coming out of the pandemic to the end of the pandemic, and taking stock of where they currently are, because everything happened and it happened so fast that they're coming out and going, I'm burnt out, I'm stressed, I'm overworked, I need a bit of me time. And I think ultimately what we're seeing is a huge influx in people, let's say, looking for different self-care modes, and starting to take time back for themselves. So on that note, what would you say to people who are wanting to engage in a self-care journey or self-care events, that may have not done anything about self-care previously, or just the general health and well-being?
I would encourage people to give it a try, explore. I know it can be daunting, it can be scary, it can be demotivating even because you think about where you want to be, or you look at, social media and, oh, look at all these people, everything looks perfect and, everyone is living their best life. But that's not true. It's not true with anyone. So it's just about thinking about the very next step, not that unachievable goal, but something that is the first step that is going to take you in that direction. Just thinking about taking one step at a time. And that's what we try to do here with Katumba, is to make it accessible, make it engaging, make it accessible to all walks of life, all levels, even you don't need to have any experience. So you find that most people out there, 9 out of 10, who are offering these activities, they'll have the mentality that we have as well. It's about involving people. You don't have to have it done anything before, be great at it. Just give it a go. And that's part of the fun. And we forget that a lot when we become adults, like that childlike fun and just
Yeah,
giving a go at things, having a laugh. Doesn't matter if we look silly. It's
yeah,
part of it. It's part of that enjoyment that we take out of experience. And new experiences keep our brain fresh as well. Learning things keep us fresh
absolutely.
in the brain. So I just really encourage everyone to give it a go. If you don't like it, it's okay. At least you
Yeah,
tried and you find eventually something that resonates with you. Being us here with the drumming movement, being capoeira, like you said, or anything else, all these
yeah.
other amazing events that are happening out there.
I think you really summed it up there about the social media concept. For me, I'm on my own journey of well-being and development, and I think one of the aspects, I've taken myself away from, say, Instagram and everything, because life is too perfect. Life isn't perfect.
I know.
We're all going to encounter problems here, there, and everywhere. So everything that you see online, it's falsified and it's not real. So I've taken myself out of that situation to focus on, to understand what it is that I
Yeah.
like doing, and, like you said, getting involved and just trying stuff. Um, and believe it or not, 6'4" and a bold northern guy, I'm great at knitting. I tried knitting once because,
Wow.
and then the hand-eye coordination, the chill, the move, it really like settled me down. So to look at me, you think, oh, he's not into that type of thing. But actually, I'm sat there knitting away. And
I'm
like you
so
said,
jealous.
I'll teach you one time. But I think, like you said, it is that over the past 2 years, people have worked at different levels, all kinds of different stress and lots of different factors in life and everything. Um, so I suppose you see that in your line of work, like people trying new things and getting involved and just generally letting go, like from
Definitely.
a community point of view, if you would.
Yeah, that's it. And it's about that. It's the community aspect because it got removed from us, with the social distancing and all that. And now we all have found that added value and we see how important connection is. It's fundamental for our well being. And that really was put on the spotlight during the pandemic years. And I think now people are going back to it and searching for positive ways of engaging, connecting with each other. So here we have just over 110 members connecting different ways throughout the week through the drumming, the movement, different ways. You said you took up knitting, which I so want to do it, but I explore going back to roller skating, which is like such a,
Yeah,
childlike sort of thing to do. But, it was great and it's been a great journey. It's been fun. It's giving yourself permission to explore new things and understand that it's okay to make mistakes, it's okay to not be amazing, and that is part of the fun of it. And like you said as well, yes, definitely that social media stuff can have such a negative impact on us
I
also.
I think the world itself, we get when we're children and we're growing up into teenagers, and
Yeah.
parents tell you, don't believe everything you read in the newspaper, don't believe everything you see on social media. But we've become so accustomed to that lifestyle that we're
Mhm.
part of that life. We wake up and we're on our phone, we go
Yeah.
to bed, we're on our phone, and this is us now. And it's kind of
Mhm.
like you just said, giving yourself permission to try new things. And I think that there, I think, like you said, the community itself within Katumba, the 110 members, it's not just 110 members, it's everything that they bring outside as well. So, oh, I do this drumming session, or I do this yoga movement session, or I do this class, and then they bring a friend, and then they bring, and it's kind of infectious, if you would, because allowing people to enjoy themselves and be themselves, if you would, is a permission of well, giving yourself permission. Um, and like you said, I think it's about building strength comes from within and within your
Mhm.
community at the same time. And people might not think they're part of a community, but actually communities are all around us. And I'm not talking about communities, say community groups, work people where you live, but more so say workplace, friends, family. It's that I'll bring a friend, and if they bring a friend, they could bring two friends, and two friends could bring, and so on. And so it's that
Mhm.
kind of drip feed effect. So
That's it. Then you sharing that positive, something that you've done that had a positive impact on you.
mm,
You sharing, you spreading, like you said, that positive infectiousness of those activities. But
I
you
think,
do find, did find as well the positive side of social media. So it's about intention and how you use those tools and those
yeah,
activities, and you're aware and mindful about it as well, because it can have a positive impact if it's done with that awareness. Like during the pandemic, we kept connected, we kept delivering our sessions online, for
yeah,
example. We were able to deliver and people engaged from all over the world for the first
yeah,
time. So that was amazing. And people got to connect with each other from different corners of the world with the Katumba. We called tuning with Katumba, for example. And that difference and that variety and diversity just makes it more enriching. Like you said, you have someone who comes from, from a different country, even here, and then we're all here sweating, drumming, having a great time moving, and we all equalize in that way. But we
yeah.
also share our unique experiences, and I think that is such a big part of that positive aspect of amplifying our world and our experiences, also relating our experiences to each
Yeah.
other as well, so we're not alone.
I think one of the things that you touched on was, say, projects, for example. So during lockdown, you did the projects, and I've watched the videos, which are great because you can feel, as soon as it starts, you can feel the vibe coming through you, and you think, oh, this is great. And with samba drumming, with drumming, with any type of snare drum, anything like that, you always tap your feet or move a head a little bit, but it's kind of flowing through you, and you're like, okay, I like this. I'm getting involved with it. So I think it's really good. And like I say, you touched on some of the projects that you've previously done, and that's only a small amount because I know Katumba's a big um, organisation, say from festivals, from locals to corporate development. What has been the biggest learning points for you? And have you taken anything on board for yourself about around running self care type events?
Oh, yeah, it's been so much, honestly. It's like such an amazing journey. And I'm glad you're saying that when you, even through the videos and through, this like screen, you can feel that movement and that energy, and you can feel that it's moving you. So we really tap a lot into that, how, is the most primitive aspect, is the music, is that percussive element. Our ancestors were using bones and sticks and as a first form of music, but it's something that we can all relate, no
Yeah,
matter where from in the world we come from. We can all relate through music. We don't need to be using a certain language. We can relate to each other as we do that, and it has that really positive aspect. There's a lot of science out there that it physically affects us and affects our molecules, affects our energy levels and
yeah,
movement practices as well. So we approach from that perspective. We make it super accessible, and it's been amazing just to see like how it's affected people's confidence, sense of self-worth through just not thinking that, oh, I could never do that. And we have people from 7 to 70 who get to do this. The Brazilian style of drumming, we wear the drums, it's not a drum kit.
Yeah.
So it's more approachable in that way, it's more accessible. We make it even more so here in Katumba. So after you come for a taster session and, any session, you're already playing at least one Brazilian tune. So we say you can come to Brazil with us for Carnival now,
Yeah.
which is something else that we do. We do exchange trips, and we're going to be doing another one very soon. So if you're part of Katumba, you get to come to Brazil Carnival with us.
See
Yes,
I mean that within itself, because the Mardi Gras, the carnival, everything, that vibe, it's electrifying. You can feel it coming through you, and I felt that just from the videos. I think that aspect of, like you said, music for many people is a love language, isn't it? It's something we can all connect with. Doesn't matter whether you're into
absolutely.
heavy metal or whether you're into classic pop, or
Yeah,
it's that vibe, it's that music, it's that connectivity point of view. And I think this aspect in terms of say self-care, about say the hub running self-care events, this is allowing people to connect through drumming. And like you said, it's not a drum kit, you were the drum, you are the drum essentially. It's the way you hold it, the way you hold yourself, and the way you connect with that drum at the same time. It's allowing yourself to give permission to be free and feel that vibe come through you at the same time. I think it's it's really admirable in terms of everything that you've done, say from the start of Katumba, the development, to where you are now. And I know, like you say, you talk about Brazil Carnival. I know you do local carnivals like Liverpool at the same time, and you have partners around community local partners who you link in with to bring more community factors together at the same time. And I think there's lots of different, say, meanings behind it, and all the projects that you've done. For example, the growth and development, you've allowed yourself to take time out for you to grow and develop that way at the same time. And it's allowing yourself to work on your beliefs and your growth as not just Katumba, but for you personally. Um,
definitely.
I think with that, if you was to recommend one thing in general, just to people about the importance of self care, what would you say to people?
One thing about the importance of self-care.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's it's just that taking that first step is just, allow, even if something that doesn't have to be something big. We usually tend to go, I'm gonna do, a whole month of X many hours a day.
yeah,
Start small, start with something that is accessible to. It might be 5-10 minutes a day, for example, even, and just start with an achievable goal, and then slowly and organically that it will grow. So if we start with something that is attainable within your schedule, within the busy lives that we lead, that's it. Even if it's 5 minutes a day, start there, whatever that may be. It might be a little podcast, for example, that it might bring you a moment of peace away from the business of life. It might be a mindfulness app or that you're listening to. It doesn't have to be a half an hour, 1 hour of meditation mindfulness. 1 minute, 2 minutes, starting there makes a big difference. And there's
yeah,
many different kinds. So having a go, for example, at a new activity that you've been wanting, but you're afraid because you're not sure if you're going to be great, and just, get a partner, get someone who's going to be there to support you. Let's go. Let's have a go at this. So it's that, just make it attainable for you, whatever that may be. And
yeah.
obviously, it's inviting everyone to come here and take part in what we do.
I think you perfectly summed it up there. Start small, because you wouldn't go to a gym being a new person at the gym and lift the heaviest weight, because you'll break your back. So it's kind of like the more attainable, the more, just start small. It doesn't have to be 6 hours. It could be 30 minutes. It could be 3 minutes. It's that build up process, isn't it? And it's allowing yourself to get there instead of just going straight in and going, I'm going to do this. I
That's
think
it. That's it.
it's a, like I said, it's all about development and growth itself. I think one of the big aspects for me for self-care is, you've touched on it all throughout this conversation, is allow yourself that time you need to give the love to yourself that you give to others, and that there is your internal growth. I
That's
think,
absolutely, yeah.
oh, honestly, that is amazing. Juliana, you've been such a great co-host. Thank you for taking the time out to tell us all about the importance of self-care management and the journey for Katumba. And also a really big thank you from us at the Hub for supporting our colleagues in the NHS social care and emergency services by running the wellbeing events that you do. You're amazing. Is there anything you'd like to say to our listeners before we head off?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity, and it's just, commend you for the work you do as well, and that the Hub does. It's such an honor for us to be part of the project and be able to support and give back to the NHS staff a little bit of, however way we can to support their well-being. You guys do so much for us. And I just wanted to share, and you mentioned our projects and the things that people could get involved here as well. So we have in October, we do a big Katumba Carnival project. So you don't have to go to Brazil. You can come here to our hub, Katumba Culture Hub in Talkstate as well. We're open to everyone, all ages. We do a big carnival. So it's a whole 2 weeks of activities in October, culminating on the 30th of October with a big carnival through town. There's a Halloween involved as well, but there's free workshops with all our partners. We do lantern making, circus skills, drumming, dancing, all that kind of good stuff as well. But before then, we're also going to be part of the Brasilica Carnival in August and lots of different things. So do check out our website. We are open to anyone, no experience needed. Come have fun with us. We make as accessible as we can. So come have a go.
Well, what I'll do is I will put your website details out to our listeners and let them get involved that way. We'll provide the pathway to them for you. Thank you very much. Just for anybody listening, here at the Hub, like I've mentioned, we do run a range of free face-to-face wellbeing events every single month. And you can book your ticket online on our website under the workshop and event section. But in the meantime, like I said, if you'd like to find out about Juliana and Rich's journey with Katumba, you can find the web address at the end. Until next time, be good, be safe, and we'll see you soon.
Ciao.
Resilience is strength. Let us help you find yours.